In today's episode of Locked On NBA, we're talking with Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder about just what we can expect from the Oklahoma City Thunder this season. Let's get into it right now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi guys, welcome. I'm your Monday host, Josh Lloyd for Locked On NBA. You can also find me as the host of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Sweatblock. If you suffer from the sometimes embarrassing problem of excessive sweating, Sweatblock is the answer for you. It is doctor created and doctor recommended to stop that problem where what color shirt am I going to wear today? Because you don't want that sweat patch to show up. Well, Sweatblock solves that for you. Get the Sweatblock wipes, wipe them on before you go to bed. Wake up, have a shower, go off to work, go off to school, go off to whatever you got to do, and you're covered for up to 7 days. That is remarkable strength in these clinical antiperspirant products. They've also got that dry shirt guarantee. If it doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. These have been around for over 10 years. You can get them at Amazon, you can get them at CVS, but now you can also get them at sweatblock.com. And you can save 20% by using our code LOCKEDON. So go to sweatblock.com and use our code LOCKEDON for that 20% discount at Sweatblock. This might also be a familiar problem for you. Maybe you're sitting at home, you're watching your live sport, watching the NFL on your TV. You've got your on-demand shows somewhere else. You've got your highlights on your phone, and then you've got someone else's login to watch the other good stuff. Well, it's just too much clutter. I want to tell you about a simple way to get all your entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called Direct TV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites in one place like never before. You can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in that one spot. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can find more, or you can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required, and content varies by package. All right, let's bring in now the host of the Locked On Thunder podcast. Rylan Stiles is here with me. Now today, we're talking about the 3 worst teams in the NBA. That's not my designation. That's the Vegas over/under. I don't think you'd argue with this. So one of the 3 worst teams in the NBA is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what we want to do is give people ideas of what to expect for this team this season and why you would want to tune into a Thunder game. Because we all know why you would want to watch the Nets play or the Bucks or the Lakers, that sort of stuff. Okay, so why should we be watching games, 1 game, 2 games, 5 games, 20 games of the Thunder if I'm not a Thunder fan this season?
I think that with the Thunder, although they're going to be bad record-wise by design, they're going to be a competitive and scrappy team like they were last year. And so that kind of old-school, blue-collar style of play can really draw in a certain demographic of fans for the NBA. And also, this year, unlike even last year's roster, has so many more young, intriguing players. Not only SGA, who can kind of solidify himself as a all-star caliber player this year, and Lou Dort, who's been an awesome defensive player. But Pokusevski came on really strong in that second half of the season playing without SGA. How can he play with SGA? Josh Giddey, the 6th overall pick in this draft that you're familiar with. Josh Giddey is a really elite passer and has that elite NBA trait from day number 1. And then you have even Darius Bazley looking for that breakout season. Theo Maledon was awesome last year. And then Trey Mann can be somebody who at the end of the season, whenever it gets the dog days of the NBA and you're looking for other teams to watch, Trey Mann can have that spark plug offense with those step back threes, his shot creation, to where he'll create a ton of highlights. It will not result in a ton of wins for Oklahoma City, but it will result in a ton of highlights and a ton of fun play. So the interesting pieces in this roster are here this year, unlike last year.
So would you say that this is a fun team to watch? Like, is that the selling point of watching the Thunder? Is it it's a bunch of young guys outside of, say, Derek Favors? It's just a bunch of guys who are going to play hard. We're going to be talking about a team that plays, I guess, up tempo and just tries things out.
Yeah, it's going to be a young team that doesn't know any better. And so, they're not going to go into the game expecting to get killed. They think that they can compete and win every single game, and they haven't had that sort of innocence sucked out of them yet with the NBA lifestyle and traveling. And also, you mentioned the style of play. You're going to see something very interesting in Oklahoma City that we're not sure can work. The plan for Sam Presti and this organization has been, let's try to find out how, as a small market, we can find a market inefficiency in the NBA. And they think that the way to do that is by creating a entire roster of guys 6'9", 6'8", 6'10", who can all ball handle, who can all shoot, who can all play that guard position, and who can all be very versatile. Now, is that a way to construct the roster? That's yet to be seen. But this is our first glimpse at it, where we're going to see lineups where you have 5 guards on the floor and you're playing a small ball 5 and you're trying to figure out who's the actual point guard, who's the facilitator, who's the shooter, and you just don't know what to expect. So watching a new style of basketball will be interesting. And then with Mark's team last year, they were fast, they got up a lot of shots, and they tried to just hunt threes. And this year they have more shooters, they have more players adaptation to that style. So seeing if the groundwork can work for this new innovative way to look at basketball with Sam Presti will be our first glimpse of how this rebuild might go.
If someone tunes into a Thunder game, what will they be surprised by?
I think that they'll be surprised mostly by Pokusevski, that he's not a meme. If he plays the way he does in the second half of last year, if you only watch him the first half of the season, and you saw how he was missing shots, airballing shots, shot like 10%, and you saw how he was calling for the ball and was being like this incredible personality on the floor, dancing around and embarrassing himself a bit, in a good way off the floor, then to you, he's still just this NBA Twitter character. He's Bo Bull. He's just something different. But if you watched him in the second half after returning from the G League, he was a legitimately good NBA player. Now, can he do that again? Can he make it an improvement? And also, can he coexist with a guy like SGA? How do they benefit each other in a multitude of ways? So I think that they'll be most surprised by Pokusevski being a talented NBA player and not like a joke. Other than that, you might be surprised by Josh Giddey, who looked like as though it was a reach at pick 6 at the time. And you're learning more about him. You're seeing the vision for the Thunder and for him. So I think they'll be surprised most by Pokusevski. He's not just a complete kind of meme, and he's actually a really good NBA player.
Do you think the Vegas over-under sitting at like 21.5, 22.5 wins in an 82-game season? Would you think the Thunder, who through some luck early last season, they were pushing well above that. They were pushing towards 500 until they said, guys, we can't have that, and we just need everyone to not play. Yeah, what are you looking at in terms of that? 22 wins. Are they going to be pushing over that again this season, do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because you have the 10 more games this year, and then last year, they were right at that over-under number, and then all of a sudden Shea got hurt, so they just lost a ton of games. So this year, if you expect Shea to stay healthy, which we all do, he's 23 years old, and he's going to be a healthy young player, I would bet the over because, again, this team is not one that's littered with veterans. I mean, they're going to trade favors at some point, and so they're going to get even younger, and to where these guys don't know any better. They're not going to know that, hey, we should lose this game. Let's just mosey on in here, collect our paycheck, and go home. They fight to the bitter end. It's not efficient. It's not beautiful basketball. It's not the Warriors of a few years ago. It's downright gritty and dirty, and they make life hard for the opponent. And against certain teams, they're not expecting that. They're not, kind of wanting to get into that kind of dogfight every single night, and so they sneak up and beat teams. That's what they did early on. Early on, their net rating was terrible. Their offensive rating was terrible. Their defensive rating was terrible. But they still won games because they're the only team on the floor that took it seriously and treated it as though it's like a playoff caliber game. So you're going to see that from the Thunder. And with Shea, he'll try to win every single game. And so they'll win. I would bet over that if you believe in Shea's health, which I do.
Yeah, I think there's a big chance to go over that as well. Now, I guess in terms of season accolades, the one that would stand out to me is the Shea to make All-Star team, if you're going to look at something as an award to hang your hat on. What other players do you think are in the mix? Or let me phrase it this way. What do you think is more likely, that Josh Giddey wins Rookie of the Year or Lou Dort wins Defensive Player of the Year / gets on an all-defensive team?
I think that it'll be really hard for voters to vote for a player like Lou Dort for all defensive team because it's the way that the voters do vote on these awards. He should make it. I don't think that he will. I think that with Josh Giddey, kind of the most, the other besides Shea getting All-Star, that most likely to happen would be Giddey being an all-rookie player, because Josh Giddey from day one should start, likely will start. He'll get a ton of minutes, a ton of time on the floor. He'll never really play with the blue. He'll play with the Thunder all year long. And as someone like you, Josh, who's watched Josh Giddey before, whenever I talk about how Mark and Sam are building this system of positionless basketball, of tall guards who control the pace, control the floor, that's exactly what we're describing with Josh Giddey. And so it's a system designed for him and to amplify his strengths. While he might not shoot efficiently, he'll get the counting stats because he'll play longer than anybody else and he'll collect rebounds. So if things don't go as planned with Green and Cunningham, maybe he slides up to Rookie of the Year. I think he'll at least be an all-rookie team member. But Rookie of the Year, I think, was going to go clearly to Cade Cunningham.
It's going to be interesting to watch this team. Like I'm out there watching every team, but if you are a person who doesn't normally tune into the teams at the bottom, the Thunder are going to be super fun, and Rylan, you'll have it covered for us all over on Locked On Thunder throughout the preseason, heading into the regular season, of course. Thanks for coming on Locked On NBA with me.
Thanks for having me.